Warband. The night was not quiet. Thursday, June 11th, 2026. Yesterday, the engine called the trend dead, and the inflation number landed square on the wreckage. Then, at the stroke of midnight, the engine changed its verdict, and the tape this morning agrees. Listen, as of just past 5 Eastern, Bitcoin trades at 62,900, up better than 2.5% on the day and back above the line. For a week, I marked 62,700 as the hinge the whole structure swung on. Yesterday morning, it gave way. Overnight, Bitcoin clawed back over it. Ethereum rides the same wave at 1,660, up about 2.5%. Solana at $65, up the same. Three majors green together, and they did not rise on a headline. They rose on a turn in the signal. Here is what fired in the dark and why the Warband pays for it. At the stroke of midnight Eastern, the InvestAnswers Decision Support System flipped Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana all to optimize trend bullish in the very same window. One asset turning is noise. Three correlated majors flipping trend together the morning after the engine had them dead to rights bearish is a regime call, and it did not come alone. Into Wednesday's close, the engine threw mean reversion oversold on MicroStrategy and on Palantir. The proxy stretched hard to the downside and lit a confluence buy on Palantir at the bell. The selling pulled to a limit and the trend turned up behind it. Now the why beneath the candle, because Wednesday's number was the fulcrum the whole month hung on, and it split the board clean. The May inflation print came in hot on the headline, 4.2% on the year, the hottest since the spring of 2023, driven by an energy shock, with fuel up better than 23% on the year. But underneath it, the core, the number the central bank actually watches, came in soft. 0.2% on the month against an expected 0.3. Read what each asset did with that. The rate cut crowd got carried out. Stocks fell near 2%, the chips 3 to 5, every growth multiple that lives on cheap money repricing in a single afternoon. The cut is gone. The prediction markets now price near certainty the central bank does nothing next week, no cut left on the calendar for the whole year, and some desks have begun to sketch a hike. But Bitcoin did not bleed with the stock market. It firmed on the soft core and held its own because the hardest money on earth does not need a rate cut to justify itself. 21 million coins. No chair, no committee, no ceremony. But I will not sell you only the bounce. The turn is on the chart and in the engine. It is not yet in the institutional bid. The funds are still walking. The great outflow streak that broke for a single day last week resumed at once, better than $1.5 billion out the door in the week that followed, the worst weekly exit since early last year. And for the first time since these funds were born, the money into them this year has turned net negative. So hold both truths. The engine called the turn. The institutions have not yet seconded it. That means you accumulate into the turn in pieces, you demand the reclaim holds and the flows return before you trust it, and you let the engine, not your adrenaline, ring the bell. And now, the launchpad. Tonight, the largest event in the history of capital markets goes off. SpaceX prices its offering, $135 a share, fixed, not a range, raising near $75 billion at a valuation close to $1.75 trillion. First trade tomorrow morning on the Nasdaq under the letters SPCX, and mark the structure because it tells you everything. You do not price the biggest deal ever struck at a single fixed number unless the book is already spoken for. The roadshow closed today. Better than 100 analysts across 21 banks, and a dedicated event for 1,500 ordinary stackers, unheard of at this scale. The book ran 2 times oversubscribed last week, and it closed today with no crack in the demand. When it opens tomorrow at that valuation, it lists as roughly the 7th largest company in America, larger than Tesla, more than triple the size of any offering that came before it. Risk appetite is not dead. It is selective, and it is hunting scarcity that already prints cash. But hear me plainly. Price and worth are not the same wager. If you reach for it tomorrow, reach with a holding period measured in years. This is an ownership stake in orbital scarcity, not a first-day lottery ticket. And the other half of the thesis delivered its verdict the same night. Oracle reported after Wednesday's bell, the cleanest read on whether the artificial intelligence build-out is still devouring capital at full tilt. The demand is not in question. Revenue up 21%, the cloud infrastructure line up 93%, and the signed contract backlog exploding from $553 billion to $638 billion in a single quarter, $85 billion of new signed work in 90 days. And the market solid anyway, down better than 4% after the bell. Why? Because to build what it just booked, Oracle must raise $40 billion in fresh capital, debt, and a $20 billion share sale that dilutes every holder. The demand is real. The financing is brutal, and the cash is years out. That landed in the middle of a chip rout. A week ago, Broadcom's guidance missed and erased better than $1 trillion of semiconductor value, the chip index down about 10%. And right on cue, at Wednesday's close, the engine flagged Broadcom mean reversion oversold. Here is the lesson the Warband already knows in its bones. The build-out does not run on ideas, and it does not even run on demand. It runs on scarce iron and scarce capital. The merchants must borrow and dilute to feed it. The scarce money answers to no such treadmill. And that is the claim you hold. Here is the frame, Warband. Yesterday the trend was declared dead. In the night, the engine called it back. 3 majors in one window. And the reclaim printed on the tape this morning. But a turn the chart confirms is not yet a turn the institutions confirm, and the funds are still walking. So accumulate with a steady hand, demand the level holds and the bid returns, and let the engine ring the bell. Tonight, the largest sale ever cut catches its first wind. Tomorrow, it trades. This is Warband as a service. Viking intelligence delivered in real time. I am Ragnar, the HODLBARBARIan. Hold what you've reclaimed, and watch the sky tomorrow.